Hello and welcome back to Tales of Gear. My name is Tom, and today's video is part 1 about the Vfc M16A2 Gbbr. It was released recently, and I'm one of the lucky guys that got it. It arrived the other day. As you can see, the stickers are still here. One quick thing before I continue, sorry I can't get it. I can't get the whole gun in the frame. It's pretty big. For now it will stay like this, but later in the video we will focus on the upper separately and the lower, and you will get to see all the fine details of this gun. As I've said, this video is part 1, and I'm not gonna bother you with the history of the M16A2, all the other tech details related to airsoft. I will mention some, but the main focus of this part 1 will be how clone correct is it. So I'm sure there are reenactors out there that are interested to know in what extent this replica is clone correct. And I will try to give you that answer by showing you everything in detail, and also suggest what to do and what parts to get in order to actually improve the overall looks of the Vfc M16A2 and to actually get a better looking gun, but also to get a more realistic looking gun. Also, the feel of it will be more realistic. So first off, let's address, is it worth buying it? Yes. Why? The price range is around $500, a little bit more in Europe, and yeah, anything other than VFC will cost you double or triple that much. So consider 1.5K for maybe a DNA, complete DNA, or some custom-made M16A2's Gbbrs based on the same system. So that's something you can weigh out if you wanna save up and go for the big brand and save you all the ordering of parts and the work on it, etc. That's your choice. I respect that. Yeah, I like to work on the gun. So as a base gun to improve it, I really like it. And yeah, so let's try to see just some details. Here we have the stamping on the barrel. It's very nice. The front part here, nice and shiny handguards, which is actually correct. Then we have the receivers. They are black in person, but under the slide they appear a little bit cold gray, which would be nice. Unfortunately it isn't. Here is the stock. It's a nice replica. It's not shiny, it has some texture to it like the real one. Let's take a look on the other side. Trapdoor, of course. Here we have the other side. Everything is correct for the model M16A2. VFC did a good job. So overall, if you want to leave it as is, it will be just fine to take pictures with it, to make impressions, to reenact with it. But if you're picky and wanna all the fine details done correctly, then you have some work to do. So let me take apart the upper and lower, and then I'll go into all the fine details. Back in a minute. And here we are, just the upper receiver. And yeah, I took off this both part of the handguard because yes, the delta ring spring is super hard. This hasn't changed. It is all on all Vfc guns like that. I will start off from the front, from the muzzle, and I need to turn this around so the reflection doesn't mess with the camera. Alright, let's take a look. First, this is what it looks like under the handguard. Usual Vfc, as you can see. Okay, I've taken out the bolt carrier group. We will address that at the end. But for now, we will focus on the other parts of the upper. So starting off with the flash hider, the birdcage flash hider. Yes, it's the correct one, non-ported on the bottom. But here is the first thing that actually surprised me. See that? It has a grub screw on this part here. Let me focus. Yeah, so I don't know. I've heard that Vfc is using up some parts they have laying around, and to me this looks just like it's taken from AG instead of having it to be more correct for the Gbbr. Here, for example, the 733, it has the A1, which is without this annoying screw. So this is actually for the Gbbr. But okay. So first thing that bothers me a little bit is this flash hider. Now let me take it off. It's pretty stiff. So here we go. It's standard counterclockwise, 14 millimeters. There you go. Good thing is it is made out of steel. Looks nice, but this screw really annoys me. The next thing I don't really like, well, this is actually a quite good replica of the peel washer, which will be the correct washer to use on a M16A2, but it's just a replica, as you can see, not a real one, and we have this rubber O-ring underneath that, and this just screams AG, right? I wouldn't expect that to find on Gbbrs, but okay, it is what it is. Just thought I would show you this. Okay, so this is the flash hider. Let me try to put it back on. There you go. The timing, it's made correctly. It will be nice and tight and centered as it should be. That's good. Now the barrel. The outer barrel is a 20-inch thick barrel. It has the correct markings. Just a second. Here you can see it. Nice markings, nice and deep stamping. That's done nicely. It's a plain black barrel. It's not steel, some sort of alloy. It has the correct profile, thick on front, narrow, the A1 profile on the back. It's connected nicely, no wobble, so that's done all right. But well, the color and the feel of it, I recommend getting a DNA outer barrel. You will greatly improve the looks of your gun and the feel of it, because you will get the front heaviness, and this will be more realistic and it will look much better. Now if you change out the outer barrel, it would be good to change out also the front side, because you will have a huge color difference from the DNA barrel, which is very close to the cold gray finish, and the plain black front side base. So yeah, just get the DNA barrel along with the DNA front side. Another extreme thing you could do is actually try to get a real steel front side base and try to match it with the barrel. I managed to do that on my 723 build, and I'm pretty happy with it. Here are a few things that really bother me. One of the main things I was happy about was to take my original M9 Frobis bayonet and to stick it on, but I was very surprised to see that it doesn't fit. So this bayonet lug is out of specs and you can't get the bayonet on. You can see I've tried. I would need to figure out where to sand it down, to file it down, in order to make it work with a real bayonet. I don't know, maybe this is just one case. Please, other owners of the M16A2, write in the comments below if you can attach the bayonet to this stock front side base. I really would like to know. This is one, and I would say the most annoying thing I've found about it. Next thing is this marking here. It's a F, as you can see, and on the other side we have nothing. I would be way happier if they had left out this one as well. Another thing, please, if I can show you this, you see these two ears here, they kind of look to be, it's funny looking. It's like they're bent too much out, don't you think? Like the profile of it is not that accurate. I don't know. It's a non-steel front side base, some sort of alloy. And yeah, from my quick research, when the front side base has a F on it, this means it is meant for use on carbines. The M4A1, for example, which has a detachable carry handle, unlike this one here, which is a fixed carry handle, and the detachable carry handle is slightly higher, so they have made the front side base also, I think, 1 millimeter higher. So, and they mark them with the F. In other words, this is not correct for the M16A2. Maybe I got it with the F, maybe others didn't. So the next thing, yeah, the sling swivel, it has a roll pin inside and it's very stiff. Maybe good, maybe not, I don't know. I personally don't like that. So basically you want to change out the complete outer barrel, front side base, flash hider. If you get the DNA one, you will need a flash hider with the 1/2 inch by 28 thread, which is the real steel thread, so you can actually get a real steel flash hider, which is actually cheaper than the airsoft steel version, so bear that in mind as well. Let's move on. Now, the handguard cap is triangular, which is correct for the M16A2. It has a nice finish. It's a pass. It would be nicer if it were black. Now, handguards, I gotta say, Vfc did a very good job. And now let me show you. This is this Vfc handguard. The profile, all the fine details, it's pretty greasy here, I don't know why. They did a pretty good job, I gotta say. And I'm saying this because I have compared it to a real one. Let me show you this here real quick. I just took it out of the wrapper, and now let me show you what this is. This is the original paper wrapping of a, now take a look. This is a 84 dated A2 handguard. Let me take it out. I have also the other part, of course. Let me show you. This will be installed when all the other parts arrive. So one thing I noticed when I hold these two, the original one is, let me turn it around, the original one here is a little bit heavier, I think because of the more massive heat shield, and maybe because the material isn't plastic, it's more like a backlight finish, I think. And you can see it's pretty close, very nicely made, as you can see, and they almost fit together perfectly. You wouldn't tell the difference. They align very, very nicely. So very nicely made. If I knew that, I wouldn't maybe get those original ones, but it will be nice when I install these. So handguards, very, very good VFC, very good. I'm not saying these are as durable as the original ones, but by the looks they did a great job. So this is about the handguards. Now the delta ring. The delta ring is even this star piece here is some kind of alloy, so I recommend getting either a complete real steel delta ring, or you just get this part, which is original real steel part for the delta ring, and install it. It will fit. It fits also the upper, so it's much better to have it in steel when you use to screw it on. Okay, and it looks better. And if you use real steel handguards, this might also help to have them sit on better. This is something I will change out with time. So now, otherwise, the delta ring is made nicely, but the spring inside is extremely hard. One thing you can do, swap it out with the real one, or just flatten out a little the spring inside so it isn't as stiff anymore. Alright, next thing, the gas tube. The gas tube is, I won't mess around and take off the upper handguard, because it's a nightmare to bring it back on. What I can tell you is VFC didn't use just a piece of rod to mimic the gas tube. They actually did a great job on cloning it with all the fine details, which is nice. But one thing I don't like on GBBRs is they shorten that gas tube. As you can see, it doesn't come out into the upper, which is the case with a real gas tube. So what I recommend doing is you simply, just a second, simply get a real steel gas tube. You will be able to install it. The upper has the hole drilled as it should. It's a drop-in fit, but if you do that, you need to consider make another modification, and this is to drill out the gas key on the bolt carrier group. You will need a 4.5 millimeter drill, and you need to drill it, I think, around 16 millimeters, maybe a little bit more. So this is about the gas tube, and we move on with the upper. Oh yeah, so the other side here. Let's start with this rear side. It's going correct, nothing wrong with it, it's working. The finish is black like the rest of the receiver. It's okay. If you want to go crazy, you can get a real Colt made one and yeah, swap it out. It has the correct markings on the aperture, so it is clone correct, and nothing wrong with that. Next thing, the forward assist. It's a fake one, not a real one. You can change it out with a real one, and it will actually engage with the bolt carrier group, so you get that piece of realism into your Gbbr. Next thing is the dust cover. It is the correct model of dust cover, which is correct for the A2, but one thing that I don't like is the finish of it. It's totally off in comparison to the rest of the receiver, so I suggest you can get, let me see where it is, just buy the real steel one, which has the correct matching finish with the Vfc receiver, as you will see here. So, and it will look much better. You see? This is it. One thing to point out, you will need to keep the dust cover rod. You can't use the real steel one. Real steel one is thicker, and you would need to mess around with these holes, and don't do that. It's not worth it. Just exchange the dust covers. They will fit, drop-in fit, no modifications required. So that's that. Nice markings here. Let me show you. That's nice. Here as well. Lastly, we have the charging handle. It is mil-spec, and you can anytime swap it out with the real one, but for now there is really no need to do that. I have the bolt carrier group. It's alloy, not steel. We have this anion reduction for power. While speaking of that, you might wonder about the inner barrel. Let me talk just quick about that. So the inner barrel is 360 long, which is actually the full length of a carabiner barrel, inner barrel. So that will be around here, like that, and this is empty space. I will change it out with a longer barrel. It can take a 510 millimeters long inner barrel, which I didn't find. I will go with the 410 millimeters, which leaves me around that much barrel length without inner barrel, which is not bad, and I can always swap it out when I find the 510 millimeter inner barrel. Yeah, that's just something I had to point out. As for the bolt carrier itself, it's nice looking, it's working. I will talk more in a video about the bolt carrier and what modifications you can do to it to prolong its life. But yeah, you don't have the end pass inside, but you can modify the nozzle to actually have the end pass, and I will show you in the next video how to do that. Yeah, this is it about the bolt carrier group. Alright, we're done with the upper, and there are just a few things to say about the lower. And let me put this together, put it aside, and I will grab the lower, and we will continue with that. Let's put it here. So here we go. This is the lower. Let's take a closer look. We already have seen the markings, very nicely done. Same finish as the upper. To my surprise, the 2004 production will give you a lot of steel parts, except the trigger. The trigger isn't steel, but I will need to check on this one, but I don't think it's steel. While since it's the burst version, all the parts are actually steel, which is nice. Steel bolt catch, everything inside is steel, so you really don't need to do any upgrades on that. But be aware, all this steel will chew a little bit on your bolt carrier group with time. Is it clone correct? Well, the profile, the looks of the fire control group is pretty close to the real steel one, but hey, it's inside, so it's not a factor to consider when buying this gun. Now let's talk about the buffer and the buffer spring. We have the correct size rifle buffer, and this one looks a lot like the DNA one that is advertised on some shops. And aluminum body. Inside is a weight that is spring loaded, and I don't like that at all. It's pretty heavy, and well, the idea I guess VFC had is have a heavy buffer to prevent bolt carrier bounce, and add a spring inside. It will cycle faster. And yes, the cycling is nice, crispy, but one thing I really dislike is that here is no rubber, and you get this awful steel on steel sound each time you charge the gun or when it shoots. It just sounds wrong. I don't know how to explain, and I will for sure change it out with a real steel M16 rifle buffer. The spring is a long one. You really don't need to exchange the spring. Keep it as it is, because if you mess around with the stiffness of the spring, you will unbalance the system, and you can just have trouble with the performance of the gun, so don't do that. VFC did a good job. It is the correct length. It has even this nice texture, but it differs from the original one, which I have here. This one starts off a little bit grayish. It has this fur-like texture and finish. It's not plain plastic as this one. And unfortunately it won't fit. It's not a drop-in part. You will need either to take off some material here, or to simply grind down a little bit on the buffer tube itself. So it's a little bit annoying, because it's just maybe not a whole millimeter to manipulate and to grind off, but it's annoying. Why not make it a drop-in fit? It's a part that that you see, and that should be easy to replace, right? So I recommend, if you gonna swap it out with a real stock, just get the buffer tube as well and save you some time and trouble. Other than that, it's a nice stock, it's well made, and don't wanna exchange it, don't do it, leave it as it is. Vfc is not including the spacer between the buffer tube and the stock. The stock is a little bit longer. They used A1 buffer tubes, so they had a spacer in between. I have ordered the spacer and I will install it when installing this real steel stock, but here on the replica it's not present, it's not needed, and you're good without it. But if you wanna have it clone correct, you can actually order one, get one, and install it yourself. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the lower. I have really nothing to say more about it. The things that need to be changed, I've covered that. Everything else is just fine, works fine. I'm waiting of a lot of other parts to arrive. Some, as you can see, have arrived already, and I'm very excited to receive all the other parts and start the conversion. Anyways, if you have any questions, or if you want me to cover a specific part I have mentioned here, just let me know in the comments below. I will gladly answer you. I hope you have found it informative, and yeah, thank you for staying till the end. Thanks for watching.